Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice, social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Cancel Vacation in paperback and e-readers today. Better get the cool slow, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. The state of California is proposing to give migrants and illegal immigrants $150,000 to cover a down payment on their first home as a first-time home buyer.
Tonight, a bill in the state legislature is causing national controversy. Should undocumented immigrants be allowed to receive money from the state to help buy their first home? ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is in studio tonight with more on what's been proposed and why it's so controversial.
Alex, buying a home here in California is difficult and expensive. But the Dream for All program, first offered in 2023, could give people who qualify up to $150,000 to buy their first home. The money designated for the program ran out in just days. And tonight I asked both Democrats and Republicans about proposed additions to the program to allow everyone, regardless of immigration status, to apply for the funding.
On a busy Tuesday at the state capitol on the Senate floor,
Assembly Bill 1840 by Assemblymember Arambula.
Lawmakers passed Assembly Bill 1840. Democratic Senator Scott Wiener presented this bill on the Senate floor on behalf of its author, Assemblymember Joaquin Arambula.
This bill allows undocumented immigrants who have social security numbers or taxpayer identification numbers, meaning they are working and paying taxes in California, to be able to access down payment assistance programs.
The California Dream for All program offers up to a 20% down payment on a home or up to $150,000. AB 1840 would make it so eligible applicants would not be turned down solely based on immigration status.
Many of them have been living here for years or decades. They're raising families here. They've started businesses here. They're working, paying taxes. They're contributing to the community, and we shouldn't demonize them.
But Republican Senator Brian Jones tells ABC 10 this legislation is unfair to documented California residents.
Now is not just allowing people to immigrate illegally to America. Now we're encouraging them to immigrate illegally.
Not only that, Senator Jones takes issues with the California Dream for All program itself.
The Democrats created this problem here in California. Now they want to try to find a solution by redirecting tax dollars from honest, hardworking, everyday Californians that are paying their taxes, and then redirect that money to people that they find somehow qualified for these buyer programs.
With the session in its final week, this bill is headed back to the Assembly, and if it passes, it'll go to the governor's desk where he will sign or veto the legislation.
Democratic Senator Dave Cortese voted in favor of this bill and told ABC 10 this is about equity and inclusion and ensuring discriminatory housing and lending policies are a thing of the past. To see his full statement, head over to our website at abc10.com.
Now, according to reports, there's a proposed Bill 1840 which will provide individuals who are migrants or who have entered the country illegally an opportunity to get a no-interest loan of up to $150,000 to cover the down payment and fees for their first home that they purchase. Now, according to these reports, this bill will be allowing these individuals to be able to get this money as related to purchasing a home if they entered the country illegally as a migrant. And that basically has upset a lot of people, not only in the state of California, but all throughout the country. And they're upset because this whole proposed law basically is giving $150,000 to a migrant or an individual who entered the country illegally who is not a citizen, and allowing a non-citizen to use state government money to be able to purchase property in the state of California, and in some ways allows these individuals who entered the country illegally an opportunity to get financing for a home that many working class Californians cannot get the opportunity to receive from local banks. And that has incensed many people in the state of California and has incensed those people in the state of California, many who are struggling in a state economy where they pay the highest taxes, have to pay the highest prices, and are dealing with cities in a state of economic decline as the state is in fiscal debt. I mean, the state of California is billions of dollars in debt. However, it proposes to give $150,000 to individuals who are not citizens, who did not enter the country legally, and basically wants to give these individuals who are entering the country illegally tax dollars it basically doesn't have in order to help them buy homes in a state where most of the people basically are struggling to make ends meet in a declining economy. Now, this whole policy basically is one that is absolutely insane when you think about it. And as insane as it is, it basically is a disrespect and a slap to the face of the people of California, especially the people in California, such as many of the homeless there and many of the especially homeless veterans, individuals who served this country, and made sacrifices to this country, but get no support from the federal VA to provide them with homes. Moreover, the state of California goes out here and puts an individual who entered the country illegally and violated the laws of our Constitution and our border, goes out and gives that person money to buy a home, but won't give that soldier who served their country an opportunity to be able to purchase a home in the very state that many lived in. And that, in and of itself, is the ultimate disrespect to our soldiers and our veterans, that these individuals are being given priority by the delusional state of California, its legislature, and its Senate. And this law is on the road to Gavin Newsom's desk, and not a law that basically provides tangible support for the hundreds and thousands of homeless in California who desperately could use this help. I mean, you would think you would want to be able to try to house California's many residents who are citizens first, but you have people in California who basically are looking to virtue signal and try to spite Donald Trump and put their feelings about Donald Trump over the welfare and safety of those residents of California. And that's where this whole Arkham certified proposal starts to make logical sense when you start to look at the insanity of it. Because this whole policy of looking to provide individuals who entered the country illegally an opportunity to own legal property in the state of California, as Arkham certified as it is, the foundations for this just insane law are based in the whole idea of looking to try to spite Donald Trump, and shows another aspect of what I call the Trump obsession that many of these leftist politicians have as related to this position of virtue signaling. And as they look to virtue signal and try to show the world they're not racist, they show us how racist they actually are towards foundational black Americans. Now, I find it interesting that the state of California can find $150,000 to pay for down payments on homes to individuals who entered the country illegally and are not citizens, but can't find tangible money to give to foundational black Americans in this country, in the state of California, because a good chunk of the homeless population in the state of California is black people, but they can't find the money to give black people jobs. They can't find the money to give black people housing. They can't find the money to give black people tangibles. Moreover, the same state of California legislature recently turned down a disingenuous reparations proposal, which would have corrected many of these things as related to the economic situation of black people. They can't find the money to give foundational black Americans reparations, but you can find tangible money, even though you are running a fiscal deficit of billions of dollars in the state of California. You can find money to give all sorts of individuals who entered the country illegally money to help purchase a home, but you don't want to invest wealth in black communities. And that really shows how racist this proposal is and shows how full of shit these leftists are in the state of California, because they don't have tangible money to provide money to help Americans be able to make down payments on homes in the state of California. You have no money for the homeless people in California to give them housing. You don't have money to help people who are on the brink of losing their homes keep their homes in the state of California. You don't have money to help our veterans get homes who are homeless. You don't have money for the foundational black Americans who basically you told you could not give reparations to. But you've got money for people who enter the country illegally, and that just shows how full of shit the people in California's political machine are, that they don't look out for the citizens of the state of California. And what's really troubling to me is that many of the citizens of the state of California are so codependent that they can't see how they're basically being disrespected by the very politicians that they vote blue no matter who in every election. And the critical question I have to ask is this the democracy that many of the people in the state of California want to preserve? The reason why I ask that critical question is because many of the people in the state of California, this so-called democracy isn't serving the people. When you have a good chunk of the population homeless, when you have squalid conditions in high-end areas like Beverly Hills and places in Los Angeles that are considered to be some of the wealthiest areas, and in cities like Oakland, which are turning into squalor because all the economic infrastructure is leaving, many of the retailers are leaving, the Oakland A's team is leaving. I mean, is this what you want to do as related to preserving your so-called democracy when people are getting their choices taken away as related to economics? I mean, people's choices are being taken away, but you have many of these people in the state of California continuing to support a party and a political machine that is basically running the state into the ground. And as they run the state into the ground, they basically want to sell the state over to people who entered the country illegally, have it where they can buy houses before American citizens, whether they be people who came out of college, came out of the military, and went out here and again are looking to serve this city and the state and the country. I mean, this is really backwards when you really think about it, but the only way it makes logical sense for these individuals is, again, because they don't care about the citizens. And again, when I look at this big picture as related to foundational black Americans like myself, I mean, this whole policy should have many foundational black Americans angry, because it shows how much contempt the people in the blue party have for foundational black Americans, how much contempt they have for us as people, that you would go out here and propose to give $150,000 to an individual who entered the country illegally to buy a home, in addition to the federal money these individuals are receiving and possible loans they will get to start small businesses, because these people basically, once they get this money, will look to buy homes in black communities like they did in South Central LA, and look to drive black people out of black neighborhoods like South Central used to be and Inglewood, take black people out of those areas, as they not only take this money to buy homes, but also use this money to start businesses in black communities. I mean, this is again a clear expression of contempt from those blue leftists who say that they're so tolerant, an expression of contempt towards us that's directed towards upheaving our economic platform and taking us off our economic platform in our community, because all these people are going to do, if they were able to get this law passed, is take that tangible money that and then take it to black communities and take it to undermine black communities. And this is the type of contempt shown to us as black voters, and the type of contempt shown to us because, again, one, they're going out here and giving tangible money to people who are not citizens and not taxpayers, taking your black tax dollars and giving them over to people who are not citizens to be able to buy a home that's going to be possibly in a black community, because they ain't coming to no white community. They will go to black communities with this government money and use this government money to undermine the black economy and the black community. That's the plan that's basically going to be done with this type of money as related to this proposed law. And again, it's a disrespect to foundational black Americans, especially our homeless black population, which is the good majority of the homeless population. You've got $150,000 for all of these people who entered the country illegally, but you have nothing for black people. You have nothing for black people, and you say you can't get anything for black people, but in the middle of a California fiscal crisis, they can find money to be able to give these individuals who entered the country illegally money to cover a down payment for a home and fees, but can't find that money for the homeless black person or the black person who's just starting out, just graduated college, or the black person who basically is looking to buy their own home, or even more so, again, the working class Californian who's worked jobs like the police, the civil service, EMS. I mean, you can't find money for those people who pay taxes into your system of your state that's in debt, but you can find money for people who entered the country illegally. This is the ultimate disrespect to all of the citizens of the state of California, and this is something that they need to deal with. But sadly, many of these people, because they are citizens of the pathetic states of America, they don't have the backbone or the stones to call out Gavin Newsom and check him on this by letting him know that if he wants to support people who entered the country illegally, they will take their legal right to vote and boot his ass straight out of the governor's office, and then also boot out all of these people in the legislature and the Senate who passed this proposal, because this, again, is a disrespect to all of those citizens of the state of California, that you'll put an illegal before an American citizen in a state where people are basically struggling to make ends meet, where the state can't even make its own bills because it's in a deficit, that you're going to propose to take money that you don't even have to loan money to people to get to buy a home. And these people basically, again, since they entered the country illegally, and many of them are broke, they're not going to be even able to pay the mortgages. So basically, this whole proposal reminds me a lot of the subprime mortgage scheme that went on in the early to mid 2000s that led to the economic collapse of 2008. I mean, this whole proposal is just absolutely absurd. You're going to give money to people who entered the country illegally to put down a down payment on a home that they don't make enough money to be able to make mortgage payments, won't be able to make enough money to be able to pay property tax, won't be able to pay the other things as related to maintaining a home. You're going to propose to give somebody who entered the country illegally an opportunity to basically squander money when you are struggling to make state funds. And this is just a textbook example of the kind of fiscal mismanagement that happens when you have people who are caught up in their feelings making proposals for law that are not fiscally sound and clearly show the lack of competence of leadership as related to California's government. But the critical question I have to ask regarding California's government is, who is more backwards, the people who are elected to be in charge, or the citizens who sit there and allow these individuals to remain in power? That's the critical question I have to ask, because again, when I look at the pathetic states of America, what's really pathetic is these American people don't see how they have the power to remove these individuals and demand that there be people who are more fiscally responsible, because this whole proposal in and of itself is fiscally irresponsible, is just absolutely ridiculous, and makes no logical sense when you really think about it critically. Again, you want to give money to help people be able to purchase a home when many of these people are poor and getting government funds. I mean, how are they going to pay a mortgage on a home? Even if you have this $150,000, the average home in Los Angeles goes anywhere from $500 to $1 million. And how would this person be able to pay that mortgage? How would they be able to pay the property tax? How would they be able to pay for maintenance? Because in some neighborhoods they have HOA policies, and even if they do go to black areas, there's still, again, going to be property tax. And again, this whole plan just fiscally makes no logical sense when you start looking at how the money is going to be spent. I mean, when you look at this whole policy in and of itself, it's again a disrespect to all of the residents and citizens of the state of California, especially those who were forced to become homeless because they lost their home, possibly due to a job loss due to the COVID pandemic or the jab mandates instituted by Gavin Newsom. I mean, those people are being told, oh, you have to wait at the back of the line, whereas these people who entered the country illegally are being allowed to the front of the line because they're trendy and allow many of those people in California to be able to spite Donald Trump. And this is what's the sad part about governing on feelings. You have people who are not thinking critically about how they're supposed to manage the finances of a state. No, they're so caught up in virtue signaling and identity politics, they can't see the damage that they're doing to their state's economy, because as cities like Oakland are having economic implosions and San Francisco are having economic implosions as we speak, from the numerous fiscal losses due to dysfunctional state policies like bail reform and that allowed the mass shoplifting and these migrant policies that basically are creating squalid conditions. Many of these leftists, again, are so caught up in their ideals, they can't see the impact of their real policies on real people, and they can't see how this whole proposed law, again, this is not going to help the state because, again, a person who's entered the country illegally, they can't really, again, buy. If they buy property, they're not going to be able to hold on to property. That's going to create a fiscal disaster on the level of the subprime mortgage mess, because these individuals, again, they have no reason to care about anything yet because they just aren't there yet. And again, we should be focusing on giving tangibles to people like foundational black Americans. I mean, you would think these politicians should be focused on their voting blocks that they say that they care about, but it seems like what they're thinking about is trying to create a covert contract with those who entered the country illegally, that their children will be out here hoping to vote for them, but they're not thinking about giving tangibles to foundational black Americans, and to me, that's the ultimate disrespect. You can't get a reparations bill to give tangibles to black people as related to the tax dollars they pay into the California economy. You can't get tangibles for black people, but you got money for people who are not citizens, and that in and of itself is the ultimate disrespect to foundational black Americans, and that's a reason why foundational black Americans really need to consider thinking about staying home, especially if you live in the state of California. I mean, when it comes to the local races, yeah, you should go out and vote because the local races for governor and mayor, those are important. But when it comes to this, again, this is another disrespect to black people because it's a sign that they don't care about the black voter and don't want to give a tangible to the black voter. I mean, they want the black vote, but they don't want to do anything for it. And when they put an illegal before a black voter, that's, again, a disrespect to black voters because, again, you can't give a black person reparations, which they would have used to go out and buy property and build wealth in black communities, but you allow people who are not citizens to build wealth in black communities, and that in and of itself is the ultimate disrespect. It's the ultimate disrespect that the black person who pays taxes cannot be allowed an opportunity to buy a home in their own state, but a person who entered the country illegally is allowed this opportunity, and that's the type of contempt that is shown to foundational black Americans. And it's the type of contempt that really needs to be pushed back on by black people going out here and looking to take their booties right straight to the sofa in the presidential election, and then go out here and look to pick a candidate and vote for a candidate that will bring tangibles to them, because it's a shame that, again, black people, we can't get anything from our government, but people who are not citizens who come into the country and violate our border and our border policies on a federal and state level can get things before we can, as related to our own country that we were born to be citizens of. Now, if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. Now, if you'd like to see me make more videos talking about anything other than politics, it's the only reason why I talked about this is because I was not happy about seeing black people done wrong. You can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.